Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another UEFN Build Along. I am your host, Dan Hutnick, and today I have some of the folks from the Tech Dev Relations team who have graciously agreed to come on and talk about custom items and inventories. So let's get them introduced. You know them, you love them. We have Josh and Magnus. How you doing, folks?
Hey guys.
Hello.
For anyone who's not familiar, Josh, give yourself a brief introduction.
I'm Josh. I help lead our evangelism team on the tech DevRel team, like Dan mentioned. We do these live streams and go to events and meet developers and really spread the knowledge of UEFN and help level everyone up and intro the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's great. We appreciate having you on. And Magnus, how about you?
Yeah, hello. I'm the verse evangelist at the Tech Dev Rel team. So yeah, doing exactly what Josh said. I focus on verse. That's my area of expertise. So yeah, I'll be walking through the custom items and inventory API pretty in detail with all of you today.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
fact that you came on for your first stream and did live coding while talking is a testament to your verse mastery. So we
Yeah, if
appreciate
you
you
missed
coming
our
on and doing
last if
this.
you missed our last stream, we covered live events and Magnus live coded a live event for us. It was kind of meta.
And it was impressive. It was very impressive. I could not do that. Reading and talking simultaneously, I'll just start saying what I'm writing, which in some case makes sense. But if I'm trying to explain something and also code, it does not work out for me. So, yeah, well, thank you both so much for taking the time to come on and talk about this. This seems like a really cool topic. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Give us a brief breakdown of what we're gonna be talking about today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so oh
sure. I'll start us off and then
yeah.
Magnus can take over since he's kind of driving the ship today. But for those of you who aren't aware, we've just recently moved our custom items and inventory system into beta. So it was out. It wasn't experimental before, meaning you can publish with it. Now it's in beta, meaning you can publish with it. Um, there's because it's in beta, there's still some very apparent bugs, especially like stuff Magnus and I ran into as we were prepping for the stream. So we understand that, and our teams are hard at work to already improve the system and make it something that you'll want to go into your live games with. But for now, we're working around that and focusing on what you can do with it today and building systems around it and with it. So, Magnus, you can take it away for the details.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so as said, we're going to take a look at the custom items and inventory API. We're going to look at what it can do for us and how we can use it. And I've also prepared a couple gameplay systems that we can kind of connect to our custom items. So we can give our custom items some functionality. Uh, one of those systems is a crafting system. So we're going to see how we can combine two items into one to give you a new item. But yeah, I think we can just jump into it. And
Perfect.
I think,
Before we jump
yeah.
Before we jump into the screen share real quick, sorry not to interrupt. For anybody tuning in live, if you have any questions regarding custom items and inventory, the topic of the show, please leave them in the chat with brackets in question in brackets followed by the question, and we will gather those up and throw them at the team. Try to get through as many of those as we can. Please keep in mind that this is a stream about custom items and inventory, so that is what we're here to talk about. If you have anything else, any other questions, general ecosystem wise, Unreal, UEFN, any sort of thing like that, please head over to the Epic Developer Community, the EDC, where we have forums, documentation, a vast amount of resources there to hopefully square any of those other questions you might have. But yes, with that, let's jump in. You ready, Magnus?
Yeah, totally.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I think a good place to start for the stream is to just take a look at the API that we have available. So I'm going to go into the Unreal Engine verse digest file and search for itemization. And here we're going to find the custom items module, essentially, with all the new features we can use in Scene Graph to make custom items and inventories. There's a lot of stuff here. Can be a little complicated, but primarily we can focus on this inventory component and the item component. So as you see here on the item component, it's just like any other scene graph component with some functionality. If we
Could
attach
you
this,
scale that
Yeah.
up slightly? Just the,
Oh, yeah,
the
totally.
size a little bit.
we did 2
Perfect.
times.
Thank you much.
Collapse this. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so as the very, very basics of custom items is, as long as an entity has this item component, it's kind of considered an item. That's all you need to do to create a custom item. So I'm going to go back into the editor and open up a prefab for an item I have lying around here, which is a stick. I'm technically using I think a log mesh for this, but let's
I'd argue
pretend it's
that's a log.
So inside our stick prefab, we're going to see that I've put the icon, the stick item component. The stick item component is a verse class that I have made inside here, stick item. And you can see that the stick item component is a class of type that's a subclass of item component. This is everything I need to put on this entity to make this identify as an item. However, there's a few other things we need to put on this prefab to make it behave more like any other item you've seen in the game. Like if you pick up a weapon in BR, for example, it has an icon. You can read what the item does. And there's a few other components we need to put on our item to give it that functionality. So we're gonna give it, we've given it these two components here, the icon component and the description component. These are just there to provide it that icon that's gonna show in the inventory, and the text that you're gonna read on the item when you highlight it in your inventory. We also have a rarity component that gives it a rarity. We're gonna look closer at how we can make like our custom, our own custom rarity later. What I'm gonna do is start this so I can load into the game, and I'll also show you something we can, we're gonna essentially create a new item here. We have two resources so far. We have the stick and the stone. There's not that much we can do with only two items, so let's create another one. These items are specifically resources that we're gonna use later for our crafting system. Okay, we're gonna see I've scattered some sticks and stones here, but let's make a new resource. I'm gonna take just our stick prefab and copy it. Let me name this, maybe make planks. I feel like planks is a good crafting resource. And I'm just going to remove all these components. And okay, so now we pretty much have an empty prefab. To turn this into an item, we can go into verse, we can create a new file. Let's call this just a blank. Oh, I already have one actually lying around. Blank item. Plank item component, again, will subclass the item component, and when you compile verse, that'll show up in this dropdown of components you can use. So let's add this to our prefab. Plank item component. Now we essentially have an item. It sounds weird, but this is an item now. But we want, again, to give it an icon. Let's find a good icon for a plank. I don't know if there's any inbuilt ones. We can we can cheat and do something that isn't really a plank.
I can bring in a plank while you do the other stuff.
Okay, yeah. Nice.
Got one more quick question for you, Magnus. Is it possible to
Yeah.
also increase the scaling for the just editor itself
Oh, that's
slightly?
a very good question.
Should be under the project settings or editor preferences, I mean.
Application scale.
Beautiful. Thank you
This
so
good.
much.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, let me make a quick description. Plank. It's a plank. We don't need anything else. We want to give it a rarity, so we give it the rarity component. I'll say this plank is uncommon. And we want to be able to stack our items. So you can have items that are non-stackable, or you can have items that stack. Stackable items are just when you have multiple instances of the item, and you can hold them kind of in one bunch in your inventory. To make it stackable, it's as simple as adding the basic stackable component. Okay, so we will save this. Let's configure our stackable component to a max stack size 32. Let's do that. And I think that's all we need. I mean, we certainly need a mesh. So I don't think we have a plank mesh. I'll just use something temporary.
Here, I'm about to check one in.
Okay, sweet. Oh, nice.
The material is plank.
Okay, nice. Let's see if I got that. Perfect. Let's save and let's just see how large it is. Okay, we definitely need to. Oh no, okay, it's perfect. So let me put this plank down here. Let me quickly switch back into the game here and show that we can actually pick up our sticks and stones, and they will show in our inventory with the icon that they're given and the description. Now the stone is uncommon here. I don't know why I did that. It should probably just be common. It's just a stone. But yeah, we want to give our plank this pickup functionality. To do that, we have made a component, scene graph component called the item pickup interactable component. It is very simple. It's simply when you interact with the interactable component, it'll take the item and add it to your inventory with the itemization API function add item distribute, which will look through the sub inventories, all your inventories, and try and add it to one of them. So let's go into our plank again and just quickly add that. Pickup interactable. And we want to configure this to say pick up blank. No, we don't need a duration. Okay. So now we have three resources. We have sticks, we have stones, and we have planks. So let's see how we can actually use these new items to do stuff. Right now, we can just pick them up. They're just in our inventory. That's not fun. We want to do stuff with them. So I made this crafting bench here. And this crafting bench has a crafting system like attached to it. So I'll open up our crafting bench prefab so I can show you what that looks like. Where? custom items. Yes, workbench. So you're going to see that this crafting bench has a crafting component. And the crafting component is a component I wrote in Verse for my crafting system. It essentially takes in a bunch of recipes and it lets you try and craft one of those recipes with whatever items that are in the inventory it's provided. So we've
Hey,
also
Magnus, how much
Yeah.
of this will we be able to share on the forums after the stream?
So the entire crafting system will share, and also the other systems I'll show later, which is going to be a ability system and a placement system to place items in the world. So you're going to be able to download the code for the crafting component, use it in your own games, set up your own recipes. So
Sweet.
I'm just gonna
So don't feel worried if you're missing the details of the verse code. You can find it all after on the snippets page.
all this verse code. It's you don't have to understand all of this right here and right now. This is something I've made for you to be able to download and use on your in your own projects. So yeah. So in our crafting component, we can add recipes, and let's use some of our new items that we just made to set up a recipe. I'll make a very basic one that takes in a stick and another stick, actually, to craft a plank. Let's make 2 sticks combine into a plank. So we can do, oops.
Is that how they make planks? 2 sticks?
2 sticks? Not sure.
2 sticks and a rock. Make a plank.
Okay, so we got 1 recipe in here now. We can just push this and test. There's another thing I'm going to point out in this workbench prefab, which is the fact that this crafting bench uses its own inventory. Just like you can do with custom items, itemization API lets you create custom inventories. So
or other things.
For other things, yeah. So not only your Fortnite player has, and it can have an inventory, but this little table here has an inventory of its own. So inside this prefab, you're going to see this crafter inventory component. It doesn't really do much. What it does is this crafting bench essentially has a certain amount of slots. You can see it has slot A here and slot B. That's just how many, that's just a place you can place an item. So 1 slot takes 1 type of item, another slot takes another item. And the crafter inventory component maps those slots to an actual inventory using the custom inventory API. It's it doesn't do much. It's just a tiny example for how you can use the inventory.
So you could use that system to like make chests and stuff.
Yes,
as well.
Absolutely. Instead of this being a crafting table, you could have a chest that uses like your custom chest inventory component. And
now, are you able to persist the items in like a chest over sessions? Because it's not tied to a player? Probably not.
No, yeah, it's not tied to a player. Right now, you can't. I think sometime in the future, that's definitely going to be possible. But if you want to persist, for example, the items in a certain player's chest, you would have to take the data of whatever's in the chest and compact it or serialize it in some format and store it as player persistence, as you would normally do with other persistible things.
I mean, while we're on the topic, I did see a question in the chat, about what's the best way to persist custom items currently. I'd imagine it's pretty similar to just the normal way you persist items.
Yeah, it's like it's similar to any other system you build in Verse. It's definitely a bit tricky to actually do persistence with, like, for example, a player's chest or persist items that's in your inventory, especially. But yeah, you persist items. If you want to persist items in your inventory now, you have to use the normal persistence model that's available, a weak map from a player to persistable data. But yeah,
makes sense.
Okay, let me grab. Yeah, let me just grab one stick to start. Put it in this slot. Grab another stick. Put it in the second slot. Oh, does not appear. I think maybe it merged into that one. And see if it lets me craft. It does. Okay, so 2 sticks became a plank. We didn't give the plank any icon, so it's going to be completely just a white square. But if we drop it, yeah, there you go. There's our plank.
Nice.
So yeah, very basic crafting system, or this setup in particular, very basic. It's just 2 slots, and clicking the hammer crafts them together based on some recipe. But you could extend this to be any amount of slots. It doesn't even have to be like a slot-based crafting system. You can just have your items in your inventory and craft based on what's in your inventory. There's many ways to do it. Yeah, let's make another. Let's look at another item we can make a recipe out of. We have a tent. Now we don't have like leather items or anything, so we're just gonna make a silly recipe for this item.
3 sticks.
Definitely sticks.
Yeah, a lot of sticks. But so this tent, you're gonna notice, consists of multiple entities, and we want to be able to place down. We want to be able to pick up this tent, put it in our inventory, walk somewhere in the world, place it down, and rest for the night. Like, let's say it's like a set spawn point, sleep through the night feature in a game. So we want to be able to pick it up, take it somewhere, and put it down. Right now, it's worth mentioning that there's a problem with picking up items that has multiple sub-entities. So we're doing a slightly different approach by creating one prefab that's intended for in-world usage, and that's going to be our entity prefab tent. And then we have another item that's entity prefab tent item. And the way this works is the tent is the entity that has the pickup component here. If we look inside the pickup component, you're going to see it lets us specify a pickup provider. I've made 2 different pickup providers. One is direct pickup provider. That essentially means when this item gets picked up, it's the entity itself that goes into the inventory. It's this entity that becomes an item. But since there's issues related to that, I've made the alternative prefab pickup target provider, which lets us specify, okay, we want to create a new item based on a prefab and give the player that item instead. So we're going to give them the tent item.
But after this bug is fixed, best path would just be to do it all within one.
Absolutely. Best path would just to take that specific tent entity, the one we're using in world, give it an item component, and you can just throw that into your inventory. So that would just look like using, in my case here, just using this direct pickup and have it pick up this root entity. And then that gets sent into your inventory. But let's take our 10th item and rather give the 10th item when this gets picked up. And we're gonna, and this world entity is just to figure out which item do we need to remove from the world when picking it up. So similarly, in the 10th item prefab, we want a way to place it down in the world again. And there's many different ways we can do placement in a game. We might want to be placing our entities on a grid. We might want to place them just completely freely in the world. Or there might even be dedicated areas where you can place items. There might be a large set of restrictions for how you can place certain items. Like, it would make sense for a tent to be placed on a flat kind of surface, right? You don't want to place your tent on a hillside that's steep like this. So, so I've prepared a little placement system that we can use, which also will be shared after the stream for all of you to use. And that comes with this placeable component. And if I look at the tent's placeable component, we can already see a bunch of options here. We have a placement method. Placement method is just what I described initially, how you want to be able to place your item. Let's say we just want to be able to place our item wherever we look. So we're going to pick the look aim placement method. I'll say max range 3000 here, and yeah. And we also said we don't want tents to be able to be placed on super steep surfaces. So we want to make a restriction that tents can only be placed on surfaces with a certain orientation. And this is like a factor for steepness of the surface that you're placing the item on. This specific value means around 30 degrees steepness or less is accepted. Yeah, we could probably do some math to rather let you enter a degree value here instead of a weird math factor. And then, of course, when you hold the tent item in your inventory, you want to be able to look around and see kind of a preview of, oh, where is this tent going to end up when I place it? Mm-hmm. So we want to give a way to see kind of a preview or a highlight. So
just like the Fortnite building system.
Yeah, exactly. And we can do that. That's also possible. Like, you can have various different highlighting systems. Like the Fortnite system just shows a preview. You could, I don't know, you could have like just a tiny crosshair in world saying where it's going to be attached. Mm-hmm. In our case, we want to just highlight the entire tent to see exactly where it will land. So to do that, we're going to choose this prefab highlight method. This requires us to give it a highlight prefab. So to accompany the other tent prefabs, we have this tent highlight prefab. And as you see, this kind of blinks all the time to indicate that it's a placeholder or preview.
How easy will it be for people to take this system and just put it in their game? So will it require much verse customization on their side?
Absolutely not. All you have to do is import this placement module here in your project with these files, and that's going to expose this placeable component. And if you have an item, if you have a prefab with an item component, if you place a placeable component next to it and fill out the details, that item is now going to be placeable in the world. Wow. So there's no verse setup needed, as long as you include the verse in your project. Fill out these details and how you want it to be placed, restrictions, how you want it to highlight, the button you have to press or the action you have to press to confirm the place, and what prefab to place when this item should go to the world. If you fill out all that, then it's now going to be placeable.
That's pretty straightforward. It's like a placeable device.
That
Pretty much.
actually kind of connects to a question that we got in chat, which was like, can someone do what we've been doing here in this demo without knowing or using verse? Maybe in this case specifically because you have so graciously offered a lot of this already, pre-built. But assuming not that, right? Like, how much would someone need to know verse to accomplish a similar goal?
Assuming not that verse, I'd say verse is very. You essentially need to use verse to build something like that. You're you're interacting with the scene graph like a lot, and you allowing a system this modular kind of has to be built with verse.
Right.
But the good thing about this is we can share the code for this placement system, and you don't have to think about verse at all. You just include it in your project and then use it as you would use a creative device. But
Right.
yeah, if that wasn't the case, then it would be difficult to achieve something similar without using verse whatsoever.
Yeah.
And having this as a resource could be a good kind of starting point, right? Too, because it allows folks to jump in, have something that functions, and then they can reverse engineer or like build off of it as time goes on or as their needs adjust.
Yeah. Okay, so we can take a look real quick just on what this looks like. I'm going to pick up our tent. And again, this is missing an item. An icon. Let me just quickly fix that. So I'm going to go to this icon component on the tent item. And I think there's a tent icon, provided by for that. So we're going to use that. Okay. So as you see, my tent here is now in the inventory. If I hit use, equip the item, you're going to see the placement system understands that it needs to be activated, and you can now go around and figure out where you want to place the tent. And as you saw, we configured it to not be placeable on steep surfaces.
So if we wanted, we could have like a material parameter or something to change the color.
Yep, absolutely. And I believe I have included that.
Yeah, like change it red when you can't place it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna look at that after. Yeah, I'm clicking now. It doesn't let me place it.
Right.
Should turn red. That would have been nice. If I go over here, place it here. It goes back into the world.
Look at that.
So cool. I had a quick question actually with regards to this. Somebody said because of this workaround that we're using to have the kind of transparent version and then the one you place down, would they need 2 prefabs for every placeable item?
No, you can. So there's different ways you can. Let me go back to this tent item to show. So you can make your own tent placement method, or you can make your own tent highlight method here. So instead of using this prefab highlight, you could rather do something like, I don't know, if you could rather take the item already, place it already in the world, but activate some function that says you're now in preview mode. And that way you could have only one prefab. That's both the in-world prefab and the highlight prefab. But I found it just simpler to have 3 prefabs instead of having to write too much logic on how to switch between preview mode and normal mode. But that's all customizable with Verse. And I also can mention that if your item is a single entity and it doesn't have children entities, then it's perfectly fine to move back and forth between the inventory and the world without any issues. So that would reduce the need. That would eliminate the need of these two prefabs. You would only have one prefab that's both the in-world one and the item one.
Yep.
And if you were to give that some sort of enable preview mode, then you would end up with only one prefab. That's the in-world one, the item in your inventory, and the preview that would show if you're attempting to place it. So, yeah. But with
someone else asked the question in the chat. When you went to use the tent there, you opened up your inventory, had to click use item, and they were asking, can we use normal player inventory controls while you do that?
So that's one of the major issues with custom items at the moment. Yeah. I believe that in particular is going to be fixed in the very near future. But yeah, sometimes when you pick up an item, it doesn't let you navigate to it with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In this case, it worked for me. I haven't really figured out when exactly that happens. But it seems to always let you click the item, hit use item, and that's going to make it like active, or that's going to make it equipped. Let me see if I pick up multiple items, if it lets me scroll through them. Yeah, so it does, but it doesn't let me reach the last item, which I think is known issues.
So that one's going to be fixed very soon, because that's probably a big reason why you wouldn't want to push live yet, but at least you can start planning out your systems.
Yeah,
once that's fixed.
Yeah, it's still a beta feature, so
yeah,
stuff like this happens. Okay, so let's do something fun. Let's go into our crafter again, or in our workbench, and create a recipe to build this tent, or to create a tent. I'll just add a new recipe into this crafter. We want, let's say it requires, actually we can't do, there's only 2 slots. So you know what? We can make a 3rd slot. Let's do that. So I'll say we need 2 planks. We need 8 sticks, because made out of a lot of sticks. We need maybe 3 stones. And the output should be tent item.
Nice.
Let's save this and make sure we have 3 slots available. I'll take this slot B, copy it. Let's move it somewhere over here, maybe.
Someone said they found a workaround to the bug. They give the player a normal Fortnite item and then take it away after 2 seconds.
I figure I noticed the same when I was playing with those guards we had in the project earlier. Picking up the rifle, dropping it, that would kind of fix everything.
And someone else asked if it's okay to use custom items in a live game right now. Absolutely. It's in beta now, so you can publish with it. But considering some of the bugs, you just want to probably be careful about how it's implemented until, at least like that last one we were just mentioning is fixed.
Yeah. This is another interesting feature with this crafting system in particular. This slot interactable component is kind of the physical crafting slot on this workbench. I can apply a filter to what type of item should be allowed in there. So imagine like a furnace which has a slot for fuel, a slot for ores only, and that crafts into something else over time. And you could apply a filter which can either be a class or a tag, maybe. I've gone with tags for this crafting system to determine what's a crafting resource. So I have a filter saying I will only accept items that has the crafting resource tag. And you can see that on the prefabs we have for our resources. If I go into stick, for example, we have this crafting resource tag.
Got it.
Yeah. allows us to do that.
Oh, that's
okay.
yeah,
Cool.
that's very cool.
Yeah, now we should have 3 usable slots and a new recipe. Let me make sure there's enough stuff on the ground for us to build this tent. I'm just gonna take these, copy, paste.
You have to push changes with these edits that you're doing? Or does it work with live edit?
I think I'm actually not sure what works with live edit and what doesn't. But copying and pasting an entity in the scene should work with live edit. But changing a prefab to have like an additional entity in it, I'm not sure. We can try that next time I push changes. Okay, so I think that's enough. You know what? Let me just.
Someone asked if it's possible to create custom rarities. Yes, we'll be doing that soon.
We will. Okay, so let's push these changes. I think if I forgot something, I don't think so. Oh, actually, first, let's go to our tent and let's make the tent place on a grid instead of like freely, which we did earlier. You're gonna see how easy that is. We just click this placeable component method here, and we change to grid snap placement. You're going to see there's a grid component placement as well. That's for another use case of grid placement. Imagine in your world you have several different areas or tiles that's grid based, and you want to be able to place stuff on it. For example, a tower defense game where you can place towers on a grid, and maybe you have 4 different grids in the world for various levels or maybe plots that players own. And you can attach a grid component to like your base plate for that plot, and the grid component placement method will allow you to place your items on that plot in particular. But we're going to use this grid snap placement method, which is just a global grid in the entire world, kind of like the Fortnite placement system, or build placement system. And with this method, it lets us provide like how you place stuff within that grid, and we're just going to use like wherever you're looking. This could be like, instead of wherever you're looking, it could be like controlled by maybe keybinds, using your WASD to move something along a grid. But yeah, we're just gonna use this aim placement method. Cell size, let's increase that to 512. And we don't want to snap up. Okay. Save this and now push changes.
Nice. We can rapid fire some questions now while this is loading. We've been getting a lot of questions in chat, which is great.
Absolutely. I've been trying to find a good time to interject some of these. I'm really trying not to derail Magnus if I can avoid it. But yeah, go ahead, Josh. You have a couple you think are pertinent here?
We got a question a while ago. Are there plans to allow creators to be able to create custom building materials, shapes, etc. as a part of custom items? We were talking a little bit earlier, Magnus, about how like you do have access to some of the like building material slots, but like as far as like creating custom stuff, I don't think that's possible right now.
Yeah, that's a good question actually. I haven't thought about that. Yeah, while I was testing all these systems for this stream, I accidentally put my Fortnite wall into the crafting bench. And I'm not trying to craft something with my Fortnite wall, so yeah, It's a good question though. If
Yeah. So it's like kind of connected, but I don't think there's like much you can actually do with it right now.
yeah,
And
not
as for
right
the
now.
future on it, I'm not sure.
We had another question here, which is there a limit on the custom game items in a project, or is it, for lack of a better term, endless or limitless?
Hmm.
Do we have a limit?
Um,
I don't know.
custom. I know normal items used to be like it used to be like a hard cap of 100 items in the world, but I'm not sure if that still applies, and if it still applies, if it applies to custom items.
Mm.
That's it's
Yeah.
worth.
Something there's one way to find out.
Yeah, one way
There's
to
an
find
easy way
out.
to do it. Yeah.
Worth trying to do that. Okay, so let's. Oh yeah, the NPCs are spawning. Let me just. I forgot the resources I need. I need. Okay, 2 planks, 8 sticks, and 3 rocks. Okay, you're at 2 planks, 8 sticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 3 rocks. Okay, still didn't give planks any. Okay, putting the plank there. It's kind of hovering. Doesn't matter. Sticks and our stones. Let's see if we get our tent. Oh, and we got our tent.
Nice.
Oh no, we got our plank, of course. So yeah,
Oh.
that's a little flaw with this crafting system here. It's very basic. It tries to match for the first recipe it finds with the provided items, and since we gave it 8
Mm.
sticks, it made a plank out of 2 of them. So I
Right.
think if we pick up these, we have 6 sticks left. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but okay. So we have to quickly remove that recipe.
So Magnus, what you can drop the whole bunch of sticks. There's no way to split the amount that you drop, is that correct?
Um, I think the
Okay, you can drop
drop
half.
half. Let me see if that actually works though. So how many did I? 3. No, okay, that doesn't work.
All right, so there's still some bugs around that, and then it doesn't look like there's a way to split the amount that you drop yet. I imagine we'll reach parity with how Fortnite handles it, though.
Yeah, let me just try again. So there should be 3 rocks here. Oh, yeah, okay. There seems to work.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
We had a question here about how you dealt with doing things like dropping half the items instead of the entire stack, or merging them back together on pickup.
Oh yeah, is that built in, or did you build that
Oh.
system?
No, so this is built in. This button here is built in.
Okay,
But
yeah.
there's no API for dropping half your stack, I think. Let me just quickly go to the stackable components API. So, okay, split takes an amount. There's no documentation, no comment on this function, so I'm not sure what it does exactly. But that's a good question. That's a very good question, actually.
This is why you
Oh.
always comment your code, folks.
Yeah.
Can you make those items not droppable? Is a different question we got that's kind of related.
Yes.
Oh. So you can actually, if you, let's say I want to make my stone non-droppable for whatever reason, you can take the drop function and override it to your custom logic. Override. So if I do something like this, say, okay, I'm overriding the drop function to just return immediately. There's no code that runs when it drops. I believe that's going to be stuck in your inventory forever.
Oh, okay.
You could also do like your custom logic here, like instead of adding it back to the scene where the player is, you can move it somewhere, or I don't know, like you can do whatever. It's all just your reverse code in here. There
Got
is,
it.
however, a thing where if I were to say like print dropped in the drop function, if I go in game and I try to press drop item, it's gonna print dropped one time. But if I press drop item again, it's not gonna print again. So yeah, it's a sort of that's a I think it's an issue, a bug, but
okay.
that's all gonna be fixed very near future. Okay, so I moved our tent recipe just up top, so that's gonna be the first one to match. That's kind of a hacky solution. Just first
Right.
checking, can we craft a tent? Yes, do it. Or if we can't,
Right.
then go to the next one. But it'll do. So let's push changes. Yeah, we still haven't touched the buffs and ability system that we have in store, which is really cool. By nature, you want your item. You might want your item to do something when you hold it and click. Like, let's say you want to make a weapon, you want it to do something when you press like fire, or your like aim button, the other mouse button. So that's
Yeah, we're getting a lot of questions around custom weapons. You know, whether it'll be possible. The answer is yes, eventually. The other question was, you know, around what's the difference between the two. Uh, the answer there is really like, you know, you can technically, and Magnus is going to show it off, like you can make your own custom weapons with the custom items system. But custom weapons, how we're thinking of it, is, you know, has more to do with the existing Fortnite weapons system and components around that, and yeah, like you know, guns that you can hold in your hands and
yeah,
edit there, and so the ranged weapon or the ranged items is coming later.
yeah.
That do a good job, Magnus.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, we have some examples in store, at least very cool example in store for kind of like a custom weapon, and then we can try and copy that and make a new weapon later in the stream. Let me go out of modeling mode. Yeah, we could also since we are using tags to determine what's a craftable item, or I mean a item used for crafting, you could even like have weapons, whole weapons, or you could make the tent a craftable, not a craftable, but a part of a crafting recipe, for various reasons. Maybe you make a game where you have a tent and you find like a upgrade module. You can combine those into like a tent tier 2 or something and do fun stuff like that.
True, true.
Okay, so now
Bigger tent and hold one more player.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I think I have enough now. It's very not ideal with these white icons being under the number of items I have. But I think I need more of these. Yeah, should have enough now.
And
Please
those
down.
icons can be just any, you know, texture that you upload.
Yes,
We're just
exactly.
working with default ones and blank ones.
Yeah, so in here on the icon component, you can set this to literally anything.
Yep.
If I want I haven't imported any icons or textures in this project, but if I wanted to, I could literally set it to water
so,
noise
you know,
texture.
so we could go and make a picture of the log item and have that be the icon. That's all doable.
Okay, so let's see. Hopefully we get the tent now. We do.
Nice.
And we have
Hey.
some items left. We didn't use all our items, so I'm gonna take, just for fun, sticks, craft 2 planks, because why not?
Nice.
Drop and drop. Okay, let's go and place our tent, which should now be on a grid, which it in fact
Oh yeah, look at that.
is. So yeah, it doesn't snap with rotation, but that's
I
completely
kind of like that.
customizable.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Lets you choose where you want the entrance to be. I want it to face this pathway. Is it here? Cool. And just to verify our crafted tent. Oh, oops! Now I'm entering build mode.
Crank some 90s for us.
Whoa! How do I get out of this?
Are you stuck?
I think I just don't know the keybind. I'm on not my
Pull
real
your
account.
hand out.
I'm trying. Oh, because I have F as edit build, and yeah, let me go to.
While we adjust the keybinds, I had a quick question in chat. We adjust this earlier, but we have folks coming in and out all the time. So the question was, when can I publish maps with these features? And the answer is right now, right?
Yep. Yeah, you can publish right now.
No, yeah, publish you can't. Let me see if this fixes it. Okay, it does. Yeah, placement seems to still work. Cool.
We solved it.
Okay, maybe we can take a look at making some weapons or abilities. So you might have noticed this staff thingy that I forgot to remove before the stream.
Spoilers, yeah.
Yeah, foreshadowing. So let's let's try and make a weapon. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to kind of be in place in order to make a functional weapon that does cool abilities. So I've prepared a ability system that goes along with a stats or buff system, you can call it. It's very similar to systems like the gameplay ability system from normal Unreal. You essentially have a bunch of attributes like damage, health, strength, poison, maybe, and those attributes can be modified by buffs, and abilities lets you maybe spawn temporary buffs to your character, or an ability might spawn like an attack from a weapon. So yeah, let's do that. Open this debug staff item, because we're going to use a lot of components from this. Actually, let's just look through the list of components on this entity. So this debug staff already uses some of these components that comes with the ability system. But let's first notice that the debug staff item, it has an item component, just like any other item. In this case, we have actually not given it the staff item, which we can change right now. In this case in particular, it doesn't matter very much because we don't use the staff item component type for anything specifically, and it doesn't have any custom verse logic to it. But just to do this in a good way, we remove the old item. Oh, whoops! Now I'm not doing the right thing. Okay, here we go. Let's add the item staff item component. Okay, and we need to give it a category. We can say this is a ranged weapon. let's see. We have our item component here. We have our icon component. This is a bug now currently. Let's change that to something more interesting. We have like a weapon fire. Like this campfire icon. If I were good at Photoshop, I would have made my own texture, but I'm not. Okay. Description, debug staff. It's not a debug staff anymore. We want this to be a staff of fire. Shoot a fireball with this staff. It's a very boring description. Could have made this much more thematic, I guess, or magical.
Hey
Explains what's
Magnus, will,
happening.
will will this code be published as a snippet on the EDC? Chat wants to know.
Yes. The entire ability and buff system will also be published. The crafting system will be published. The placement system will be published, and all the like utility code, I guess, that is required for those to work will also be published.
Amazing.
On the same topic, do we have a rough timeline of when that will be available?
I definitely think that's going to be available this week, like before Friday. I'm not exactly sure precisely
We usually
when,
have to like
but,
clean up the code a little, and I say
Sure.
we, I mean
Yeah.
Magnus. But
yeah.
Be on the lookout. Soon, TM.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, follow Magnus. Do you have an Epic Twitter yet?
Yes, I do, but I haven't used it much yet.
All right. Well, find Magnus on Twitter, and he can post when it's added. That's a good way to do
Yeah.
this going forward.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have
Right.
the Epic account tweeted out also. I just can't remember if we have that planned for this one.
And for
Okay.
anyone watching the VOD on YouTube, we'll put that in the pinned comment too once it's available.
Yes.
Okay. So we're missing one related component for our item to be complete, I guess, and that's a rarity. We want to add the rarity component, and now we can actually consider creating our own rarity because I don't want to use any of these.
There we go.
So
The feature chat has been begging for this whole stream.
So I believe we can go in here, just search rarity. Oh, that might not be. There we go. I believe if we take this class, let's try this. Hold on. Let me search for item rarity. Is there not an item rare? No, is it just called rarity? Okay, I think if we simply do this, let's call this magic rarity. I think we do this.
Magic rarity. I like it.
Hopefully this works. Then should be able to give it a color. Override color, and then Josh, what color does magic? What color is magic?
What color is magic? See, I'd say purple, right? But that's what rare is in Fortnite.
The other one I was going to say is blue. Blue is
Yeah.
often,
Oh wait, no wait.
mana.
Blue is
things
rare.
like that.
Purple is.
Should we do like a pinkish purple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can either take one of the.
Yeah, I'm seeing
Okay,
pink. That's true, and that's not a
pink.
pinkish purple.
Okay.
Do you have to spell color like an American, or did you just determine? Did you decide to do that?
If you can do this if you want.
Necessary code.
Color is spelled like this in the verse API. I don't know if this is American or the British or.
That's funny. Fine,
But if
fair,
you do this in
fair.
the top of your verse file, you're free to do whatever color
Oh, there
or
we go.
color.
Built-in translation.
Yeah. Will that be in the snippet?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Okay. Pink. What makes up the color pink? Just blindly guessing. Let me bring up a red,
Oh, you
green,
need like the
blue
color code.
picker. Yeah, I'm gonna find a good color. Okay,
Perfect
so
color pink.
yeah, I found a good color. We need 0.9984. And then need
That's my favorite color.
0.984.
0.984.
Josh wasn't very popular in like school because everybody like mine's pink and he's like mine's 0.984.
Mine's 0.984, 0.168.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this should be a pretty cool pink color. So let's compile verse and see if our new rarity is available. Oh, need to save something. Okay, so now in our dropdown, our epic RPG items, magic rarity, custom rarity appears. So let's select that.
Nice.
Okay, that's all the item components. But you probably noticed there's a few additional components here called passive buff component and active ability component. Just to quickly explain what the buff system, how the buff system works. I think I already said this, but you have a list of attributes, list of pretty much numbers. It's just numbers associated with your player, and buffs and modify those numbers. Buffs might apply certain modifiers to, let's say you have a strength buff. That buff might add a multiplier to your damage attribute. And that's exactly what the passive buff component lets you add to this custom item. So let's say you want a custom item that gives you, as I said, 2x damage when it's equipped. You would just add this passive buff component, add a new entry here, and I already have an entry for strength, but let's remove this and re-add it. So if I want to have a strength buff, I need a buff prefab. Or if I want to apply any buff, I need a prefab for that buff. So let's go into our buffs folder and just open the existing strength buff. A buff prefab is very, very basic. It only has a buff component on its root entity. An interesting thing about the buff prefab is that we are creating when we're creating the buff prefab, we aren't selecting entity as the base class to build the prefab off. We are we're choosing the buff base. So you can see when I hover over this prefab, under where it says entity prefab, you can see its parent is gameplay stats dash buff base. So all prefabs that inherit this buff base class, they are inherently buffs you can spawn. So yeah, our basic buff strength buff, it just has this buff component, and the modifier on this buff it only has one modifier, which is stat modifier.
Yeah.
And we want to modify the damage multiplier on our character. These stats are defined in code. So for our epic RPG game in particular, we have this stat types verse file where we can create however many attributes the player should have, as long as they inherit this stat value class. So if we want, for example, let's say we want a poison effect, or like the character can have a certain amount of poison sticking on them, then we just create a new class and inherit from the stat value class, which comes with the stats and buffs module, which will be published after the stream. So all you have to do to add a new stat is just make this class, compile verse, and when that's compiled, it's going to show up in this dropdown as poison. So
nice.
In this case, now I've made my buff, instead of doubling the amount of damage I do, it's going to multiply the amount of poison I have by 2.
It's a debuff.
It's a debuff suddenly. You can also choose to rather add to that attribute or even override. So when this buff gets applied, it'll ignore the current value it has and just set it to a certain value. We're going to take the
like I can already see us building out, an armor system, and you can have like negative poison, effect, and
exactly.
Yeah. Min max
So,
your armor set based on the dungeon you're going into. Love it.
So
I love how easy that is to set up too. Like that wasn't hard.
Yeah, it's all about just configuring your buffs in the prefab editors and selecting what you want to do, what the gameplay should look like from these drop downs, pretty much. So if we now want to make it so when you hold this staff, you gain this buff strength, this strength buff. I mean, you can add this strength buff prefab in this editable, but then you might ask, how does the system know that it should apply when it's being held? And that's the resolver's job to figure out. So every buff has a resolver. A resolver essentially figures out when should this buff apply. I've pre-made 3 different resolvers. Another job the resolver has is also attaching the buff to, or figuring out what target to attach the buff on. So I've made 3 resolvers for our basic game: a while in inventory resolver, a while equipped resolver, and while equipped on character resolver. So we're just going to use this while equipped resolver. What that's going to do is, whenever this staff item component is equipped, these buffs, or this buff will be applied, the strength buff. And you can have another buff that has a different resolver that activates on some other condition. But we want it to give you strength when you hold the staff. So yeah, we're going to choose this. That's it for our buffs. But we also want the staff to have some abilities. You want to be able to actually summon something, I guess, when you use the staff. So for that, we have the active ability component. The active ability component lets you define an array of abilities the staff should have. These abilities are kind of tied together with the item component, and they will activate or the abilities will be able to be executed when the item is being held. So here we have our first ability. For each ability, we have to define a trigger when we want essentially the ability to be executed, and an action, what should the ability do when it gets executed. You can also define a cooldown, which is just duration for, it's like a cooldown for how often you can do the ability. And then there's an option for cost. Let's look what this ability does. So we want to spawn okay, actually, let me remove all these abilities. Let me remove all these actions. Let's make new actions here. So what do we want to do when this staff fires from your primary keybind? We want to naturally summon something that deals damage. So we can use the spawn prefab action, which will take in a prefab, and it will essentially just spawn it with a certain amount of distance ahead of your character too, as an option. We called this staff the where is it? Description. Staff of Fire. So for that, we've prepared a cool fireball that we want to be able to shoot out of this staff. The fireball is a completely independent entity. It's not like directly related to the staff in any way, but it has this projectile component on it, which is again a component that you will have available through the, I think this is in the abilities module. Yes. The projectile component just handles logic for a basic projectile ability. We've predefined the speed, max lifetime for this fireball, some damage, and we say that we want this to be able to pass through walls, and we have an option saying attribute to instigator. This is a very specific option, but what this does is when this fireball deals damage or has like effects tied to the ability system, the fireball will essentially say, I blame the player that shot me for damaging you. And then various things that you've defined should happen when the player damages something will run if the fireball hits someone. If this is off, then the fireball is kind of how should I word that? It's the fireball's fault for damaging something, and fireball will get the blame in the ability system. So okay,
Nice.
Let's go into our stuff again. And spawn this fireball.
Chat says you're goated at scene graph, by the way.
Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat.
I also love the idea of blaming the fireball. It's like, hey, I didn't do it.
Yeah, that's great.
Fireball did that.
I mean, to put an example, let's say the enemy you shot a fireball at, let's say he has an ability that's like, whenever you receive damage, apply poison to the enemy that damaged you. Yeah, or thorns. So if the fireball has that option ticked, the fireball will tell the enemy, hey, it wasn't me, it was that guy. And then the thorns will apply to the guy that shot the fireball. But if it wasn't ticked, then the fireball would get the poison if it could receive the poison. which it
Right.
can if you configure it to. It's
Right.
very modular.
I like
So yeah.
that you're personifying the fireball.
I know.
He'll be like, "Hey,
we
it
could, we
wasn't
should,
me. It was that guy."
we should have put like two googly eyes in front of this.
I also just really like the
Imagine
idea of the fireball catching poison somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned it like it's a thing that like, developers might want to do.
I mean, okay, let me make it very crazy but practical scenario. Imagine the fireball has penetration, and if it passes through one enemy that has some sort of water protection, the fireball gets reduced damage for the other enemies it might hit after piercing through. So that's one
Fair. Okay.
example, but
In the
very
non-practical,
specific.
yeah, in the non-practical application, if somebody makes a game where you play as the fireball that catches poison, just let me know. I'm ready.
And we'll play it on our next game stream.
Okay, so we have our spawn prefab action. And let me remove this too. Let's keep the cooldown at 1.5 and let's give it a cost. So a cost can be whatever. You can make an ability cost money from your currency system. You can make it, if you have a pet system, you can sacrifice one of your pets to cast the ability. That's very not good, but you could. But we have this stat resource, which essentially just makes an ability cost a certain amount of your attributes. So you might have noticed earlier, but we have a mana attribute, and we're going to make our ability just cost like 25 mana. And okay, that's one ability. Let's just have, I have a secondary ability here, which is print action. It'll just print how much mana we have. The reason for that is we don't have any UI for this game, unfortunately. But this will let us see how much mana we have left. Okay. Let's save and try this. And just for fun, let's delete this and make it a craftable thing.
Yes.
Why not? So I accidentally deleted all the recipes. That's fine. We don't need the tent. Let's make the staff cost 2 sticks and a stone. That would probably in many other games become like a spear or something, but
but not in Poison a Fireball Tycoon.
Yeah. Stone. Okay. I'll put staff item. And also a side note, our staff item is literally just one entity. So this doesn't experience those issues with moving them back and forth the inventory. So this prefab you see here is just unused. And you're also going to see that on the pickup component. The pickup provider we looked at earlier is the direct pickup target provider, which means it's going to pick up the item itself and not create some new entity based on a prefab. It's going to actually pick up the item you're seeing. So yeah, okay, cool. We have the recipe in 2 sticks, 1 stone. Let's try. Push changes.
I wonder where the stick or so the stone goes with the sticks. Is it on top? Is it stone stick stick? Is it stick stone stick?
I imagine one of the sticks is like the straight part of the staff, and then the other stick is the part that like curls up, and then stone might be like
yeah,
some sort of
at the bottom, like a hilt or something,
maybe
to like
the hilt.
counterbalance.
Yeah.
There's some questions in chat around whether we can create a player animation for when they cast the fireball, or just like, animations with items in general. The answer is not yet. There are some workarounds creators will use with the player reference device or the chair device to animate the player. But there's
Yeah.
no good system in place to do that yet. It's feedback that we're tracking and we've heard a lot of, and we understand the value of that.
Yep. We unfortunately don't have any fancy animations or workaround for animations here, but you're gonna see that our fireball is pretty cool.
I only got to see it when it was a dev cube, so I'm curious to see what we ended up with.
Yeah, we haven't actually tested it with the
Oh,
new
yeah.
cool. We'll see if it works. Hopefully it works. Let me see. There's let me go to the itemization API.
And Magnus, how are we granting this item here? I mean, because it's through the table, I'm assuming it's just all verse. There is a question whether do you have to do it through verse? Can you put the item into like an item granter?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. I don't believe you can put them in item granters now. I would have to double check. I'm pretty sure you can't do that now with the tools in the current state. That
Okay.
sounds like something that you would be able to do at some point. But
yeah, ideally, hopefully in the future, and this is feedback we can deliver as well. It'd be great, if we could put it in vending machines and item granters and placers and that sort of thing. But...
Yeah. So you'll see that in the crafting component, if a craft is possible, if it found a match, it'll try to craft it by consuming all the input items in your inventory, and then on the output inventory component, which in our case is player's inventory component, but could be anything else, it'll run the add item distribute function, which adds the item entity you pass it into some sub inventory that's attached to your root inventory.
Got it.
Yeah, you see the difference here between add item adds the item to this inventory only. Add item distribute adds the item to this inventory, including sub inventories. So it's going to look for a valid spot for the item.
Got it.
And yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Let's see. Go to item component.
Can we add, and I'm not asking you to do this right now, but this is a question from the chat. Can we add sound components to the custom items with a meta sound cue so that, if we were to launch our fireball, we could have the fireball effect?
I believe so. Like, I don't see why not. So we can actually just try it. Oh, yeah, we need to make a
This is a great example of, like, obviously we have this stream that we're doing here, so it's a great opportunity to ask questions like this. But this is also a great example of, like, if you don't know, try it, right? Like, see if it's something that you can do.
How do you do that again with you gotta find like the meta sound. Where's audio? Up, of course. I think. I think you do this.
Someone in chat said Metasound is in the Epic folder. Need to create an instance.
Yes, not raw asset. Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing now. Okay, yeah. Then we can. Okay, no, that's definitely not the right. So I take this.
Earlier, someone asked, how would you add a speed up buff? Now that one's a little different, I believe, because you'd have to reference the movement modulator. Is that right, Magnus?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in the case with our system, you'd do something like create the speed attribute in code, and then I'll show you. I gotta.
You can do your
Yeah,
sound thing first. That was that was just me throwing it out there. I mean, it'd be like how you do it now,
I'll
except
just show it really quick. So I have a player
How many
manager.
times can we derail
I
Magnus
know
in one live
we're
stream?
like fourfold into derailing Magnus.
So this again very quick, but a player manager that gives a player state entity to each player. Right now I have something like a max health binding component, which makes sure the max health stat always reflects to the Fortnite max health. Should also have one for the normal health, but I don't have one. I have a stat regen component that regens stats based on entries that can be dynamically added to. And then you could also make like a speed stat binding component, which instead of binds to the Fortnite health, it binds to some of the devices that lets you modify speed. Yeah, totally doable.
Awesome.
Okay, so here we got the whoa, this is not what I meant to do. Sounds. I actually don't remember how to do this. Let's see if somebody has an idea. Yeah,
The chin chat.
create presets. Yeah, I think that's what I did. Am I just missing a sound asset? Should be a lot of Fortnite sounds I can reuse though, I think. Anyway, let's take a look at that later. Let's go in and craft our staff with our add sound cue. Okay, I see. Yeah, I see. Okay. 2 sticks, 1 stone, craft. Oh, look at that pink color too.
And look at our special rarity.
Yeah.
That's a perfect pink.
It's saying common. I think I think that would change if we
title it right.
I don't think we can set a title explicitly there, but I think we can do something like instead of using rarity, we can use I think if we were to use like legendary rarity, it would say legendary.
I do kind of love the idea though of putting like an extremely powerful weapon, but just calling it a common and see if anybody notices.
All right. Well, that's good feedback then. If you can't change that now,
I'm just gonna check.
We'll let the team know.
Let's see, the staff item. Did we? Oh, I totally forgot to show what the second buff was. So we also have another buff, which I've made a buff prefab, which is pretty much just like a display. The buff is, it shows a thing in the world. And in our case, the thing it shows is our staff, because we can't actually hold the item in any way. We have just made it float attached here to the character. Let's try this on some bad guys. If I click,
that guy was like, "No, man, no." He ran in with the staff. He's like, "I'm not involved in this. I'm out of here."
Let's actually first test our secondary ability to check our mana. Okay. So we see in the top, we can check our mana. I'm actually noticing it's running twice, and that's because I'm using the wrong event. But it should work regardless if we try and shoot. Okay.
That looks so much better than 10 minutes before we went live.
Yeah, that looks.
The lighting is cool.
Yeah, the lighting was a great call.
Okay, that's way cooler than the default dev cube.
Yeah, I can't emphasize this enough. Like literally, like 15 minutes before we went live, he showed us, and it was just a gray cube.
Yeah, it was the default cube.
And I was like, why don't you just throw this material on it? And then we put this together in like 5 minutes. And then we attached a light as well.
To see it go from the dev cube to this in the short period of time that you worked on it is actually kind of like extremely impressive. I still have love for the dev cube, but this is definitely cool.
We should probably turn on health bars on these guys if that's possible.
I think they do. I think you're just killing them in one hit.
Oh, am I? Oh, whoops.
Oh.
That one died in one.
Yeah. Attack someone without a sword. Attack a bystander.
Oh,
it shows. Okay. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
But yeah, see, those guys have more health.
Wait, so if I come here.
Yeah.
Oh,
see?
yeah. Yeah, so these now note this. These NPCs, they have 100 health by default, right? And if we look in our let me just do this real quick. If we look in our ability component, I mean, sorry, in our ability prefab, which is the fireball, you're going to see that the projectile components, as we're only supposed to deal 25 damage. Then remember, we created a buff on our staff that's saying whenever this staff is held while equipped, activate the basic buff _ strength, which we open that again. You remember we set to double our damage. And that's why we're eliminating these people in 2 hits. If I damage, 50 damage in total. And you're going to see the mana consumption as well. If I keep spamming, you can see my current mana.
That looks so cool.
Oh, that guy was not having it.
He didn't like you.
Okay. Was this guy? Okay.
Instant revenge.
Yeah. Yeah, so add sound real quick because it's cool. Items, big stuff, item. Now our sound should show up. No. Do I need to compile maybe?
See if I can scroll back through chat with even a few suggestions for a moment there.
Yeah, once the Magnus to set the sound,
I know I've done this before. Oh, cast sound, yeah.
Place the meta sound component on the entity.
Yep. Found it.
Nice.
All right.
Thank you, Sprinter Max.
Now, are we going to go really thematic, or are we going to make it something ridiculous?
There's got to be. There's definitely like there is like a fire effect.
Yeah, I'll find. I think I can just drag a sound into here. Yeah, let me search fire and then filter by. All filters audio. Whoa. It's too.
Be like fire or like torch or something. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh yeah, torch. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the only call out is your stream is not set up for audio sharing right now.
Okay.
So you'll be able to hear it.
I will let you know if I hear it, I guess.
We'll just have Josh do like a little automatic video, just like pew pew.
Yeah.
You shoot the fireball and it just screams, "I'm poisoned."
Oh, good callback.
No, I can't write. Okay, I honestly, I've completely forgotten how to add sound on sound components.
That's all right.
We did throw it at you like literally in the middle of another demonstration. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if they said anything. Mm.
Hmm. This is an interesting
Chat,
question.
I don't believe it's possible to add more slots to the player's inventory right now. I think it's just the default Fortnite amount. Is that right, Magnus?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can only use my own sounds in this one. Because I feel like I feel like I have, or wait, yeah, I feel like I've, not
So
sure
you'll have to
though.
go record a torch audio, is what you're saying?
I don't think so. Let's investigate for a couple more seconds.
No worries. While you do that, we can maybe throw another couple questions. I know it's like super distracting to do so.
No
We've gotten
problem.
quite a few good questions though.
Yeah, great
That's good.
questions this
Really good
stream.
ones. Yeah.
Are you able to make these things go under resources instead of normal items?
Yes. So if you give an item, for example, our resources items, let's say our stick, if we change the, if we go into the stick item component, there's a categories setting here. You can make your item be a Fortnite item categories resource category.
Got it.
That'll make it show up in this like resources list here. The problem with that, if we were to do that, I don't think we can actually equip that item to interact with our crafting system. But then you could have another crafting system that just like has pre-made recipes, and you could press a button like, I want to craft this item because I know I have these resources that are listed, and then it just pulls from your inventory. But yeah, in our case, we've made them like world items so that we can equip them and list them like this.
Chad asked a follow-up to my question. Can't you make your own inventory though with custom inventory? And so you can just use that instead?
Yeah, you can, absolutely. Like you have to associate that inventory with the player in some way, and you can't attach or interact much with the actual player entity. So kind of a workaround if you want like a custom inventory for a player is to have a player state entity that's associated with the player in a way. And on that player state entity, you can add like a inventory component, custom inventory component that you handle in your way. So yeah, totally doable. That wouldn't show like in this inventory screen though. So then you would have to make your own UI for that inventory. But yeah, totally doable.
Well, we are getting close to the hour here. I know we've had a lot to talk about. Was there anything else we wanted to kind of go through, Magnus, before we speed run some questions?
I mean, it would be cool to get the sound to work, but if we can't hear it on stream, it's not that important.
More than happy to have
maybe
you
we can
work on it, but I will probably distract you with all the questions.
But we can get the sound set up for when we put it on snippets.
Yeah. I'll show you something cool we can do. This fireball prefab, what we actually can do here is take we can take okay, let me copy the fireball prefab and make a new kind of, let's make like a tier 2 fireball attack, which would essentially just, I do this, let's see, fireball 1, And then we remove. Try and do this quick.
Not only have we derailed him multiple times this stream, but now we're also making him speed run programming.
So I can make Fireball a tier 2 prefab, and I can use my other Fireball inside of this prefab and create 3 fireballs. And let me okay, so yeah, we would have to change something about the spawn prefab. I have to give it a new option. Essentially, what I'm trying to make now is like a fireball spread shot. So one fireball goes down the middle, and then 2 other fireballs goes to the sides. We can do I'm wondering, does this even have editable? Yes, it does. So let's, oops. New. Do we, I think, will this be function at all? No.
I am in awe watching this. This is
I know.
crazy.
Rotate.
Magnus, what do you do after these streams? Do you like go touch grass?
I just keep building.
Come on.
He just goes into the corner and just shuts down until the morning.
Charges.
Yeah. Sleeps with his eyes open.
We'll probably go play some game or something. I'm very confused. What am I forgetting?
Another question in the chat, will this map be a feature example so we can see how the prefabs are created and connected? It won't be a feature example as in like in the template projects section, but all of this, all the code and the stuff we've shown off today will be in the snippets section on the EDC. So you can bring that into your own game and see what we did and, you know, take our staff and turn it into whatever. And same with the tent and the crafting system, all that.
Am I the only one that hates rotation math?
No. You have at least one other person. It is me.
Yeah.
It's one of those interesting things, right? Because it sounds like it'd be simple, and I guess it technically is, but it is like deceptively complex. Rotation math.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, make sure this rotation, I think. Right. Will be like, wait, what is that API like? Make sure initial. Oh, but that's, wait, what? Okay. Yeah, no, I would have to take time, search up rotation math stuff on Google to get
All right.
that to work.
We believe that you can do this.
I'm impressed you even tried, to be honest with you. With only a few minutes left of the stream, you're just like, no,
I
I'm going
know.
for it. I love
I know.
it.
You're like, oh, there's 10 minutes left. Okay, let me just build out
This
this
is
new
my
complex system.
yeah, Fireball V2 any percent.
I'm surprised. Like, what I'm trying to do is just like offset a rotation with another rotation, but does that even make sense? Am I trying to?
Hashtag, he asked, what are we doing right now? We're trying to, well, Magnus is trying to make our fireball weapon shoot out 3 fireballs that all go in different directions.
One and
Let's
then
just do this. They all go straight forward, but there's 3.
perfect.
Oh, okay. Oh, so they're not at an angle? Or
We were
wait.
trying.
Actually,
Oh.
what am I? Why am I overcomplicating this? I can literally in the prefab just offset them.
oh
Gosh, you
yeah.
are a genius. You okay?
Oh.
Perfect.
Thank you,
So
scene
now
graph.
let's
Yeah.
still have them a little bit spread apart, just so
Okay.
it's like an area attack. Let's see what this comes. Let's
Love seeing
show
everybody in
this.
chat throw in some code snippets too.
Uh-huh.
Great.
Yeah, make sure there's rotation between, or make sure there's rotation opposite
X3 direction.
Ah, okay, yeah, and then okay. But
This is
then
another
I
really
guess
great
we're
example of like there's not just one way to do this.
Mhm.
Like there's many
Yeah.
ways to achieve the same
Oh.
outcome.
Oops, I need to quickly go into our.
Bad Bones says that's the idea for the next stream. Just rotations.
Yeah, rotation math. A full
Rotation
two
math.
hour long stream on rotation math.
I don't know why, but strictly rotation sounds like a mall, like a store in a mall.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I'm gonna go get a soft pretzel and then head over to strictly rotations. Pick up some
Compressed.
math.
Yeah, what would they sell?
It's just like a bunch of compasses and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to change this to Fireball 1. And then it's going to use the new attack. Unfortunately, it's pushing changes now. Cancel button didn't work. I will hopefully get it in time.
Is this a good time to throw a few questions at you? Because we are short on time,
Yeah.
but we do have quite a few questions to get through.
Yeah. Go
Cool
ahead.
with it. What are the benefits of moving from data assets to this system?
From data assets, I mean, I'm guessing they're asking from like some data-driven way of making what scene graph kind of solves with like it sounds like they're asking just why use scene graph. I mean, I feel like the main benefit is what we've been showing throughout this live stream, how you can build your components in verse one time, and then you have extremely much flexibility in the editor to configure stuff. You can compositionally build an item with all the building blocks you've made. For example, our debug staff, we've just thrown together a whole bunch of components, and now it works in a very specific and fun way. And with scene graph, for example, the spawn prefab action we're doing when firing the staff, we're passing in another scene graph prefab, which just gets spawned and does its thing. So I feel like that's one of the main benefits of using scene graph in a very intended scene graph heavy manner, I guess.
Yeah. We
Okay.
we got another a chat here that says we need to make that an in-game store franchise, strictly rotations. Who do we have to talk to on the Fortnite side to get that? Another. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I was just reading. Go ahead.
No, I just had another question, which is what are the best approaches, currently and upcoming to visualize custom inventories? Probably
There were a lot of
pretty
questions
deep,
about
yeah,
UI.
probably a deep question, but
That I'm not sure about. Yeah, I unfortunately don't have any answer.
Is it connected to the view model system? Do we know?
Right now, I don't believe so. But one thing I guess I can say is that in the next update, which is this week, custom items should like, you know how when you enable custom items, you get like this weird alternative Fortnite inventory, but
Mhm.
custom items in the next update should use like the normal
Right.
BR kind of inventory. So I think any bugs you're experiencing with the inventory UI in particular, like the selection and the fact that it loses like the custom inventory UI stuff
Right.
when you use it, I think that's things that might be fixed with the next update. But yeah, I would guess so, since it's going to be using another Fortnite UI setup. But
Yeah.
we will see. And yeah.
all right, we're going to try to get a couple more out here. Unfortunately, we do have a pretty hard out here at the hour, so we're going to try to do a couple more questions real quick, and then we will have to wrap up, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Is it possible to add your own Fortnite item category?
Yes, similarly to oh no, you see sticks are now okay. Yeah, similarly to rarities, we can change categories. And you see I've made sticks a resource from earlier,
Yeah.
which is not good because now we can't craft. Hopefully this doesn't require a full push by throwing down the debug staff. Should be able to just start the game. Yep. Hopefully there's 3 fireballs firing now. Let's see. Item. Oh. Okay,
Oh.
so they're going kind of.
Wait.
Fire
Not
again?
sure. Oh. Okay.
Oh.
Did the parent get rotated by any chance?
Probably.
Oh.
Yeah, there's
no.
probably some. Okay, but it's definitely somewhat of a spread shot. Oh,
And it also looks like it's based off of your character's movement, maybe?
Yeah, it's like it kind of feels like you're directing it.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh.
You got yourself.
Whoops.
Achievement unlocked.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
probably
that's
yourself-
really cool though.
Eliminate
Yeah.
yourself with your own poison fireball. Achievement unlocked.
Okay, well, it's at least somewhat of a spread shot, but yeah, I think it's what you're saying. The route probably got messed up in some way.
That's so cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for all of your great questions. We'll have one more to wrap this up with, and that is, how could someone become a pro at Verse? Not just talking tutorials, but like, because there's a lot of great tutorials, but everything that you could do or need to know to become a pro at Verse.
So really, I think really to level up your Verse game from just making gameplay with API and stuff, I think to get to the pro level, you should definitely take a deep dive in like programming principles and theory and kind of what makes up a programming language. Verse is a very, very well-designed language that takes inspiration from many, many different programming principles. And I think learning those various principles and how, for example, various different type system works, you will kind of start to see how you can leverage the Verse type system to more easily and more flexibly write code that lets you create, for example, these components we've looked at today. Yeah, I think a lot of it is just getting good at programming in general.
Yep.
But yeah, that's kind of for the past the tutorial point, as you said.
Yeah.
Only watching UEFN tutorial.
Yeah. Little thing I'll add on to it is make things that you're really interested in and also make things that maybe you wouldn't make otherwise, because you'd be surprised how many different learnings you could take from, like, I don't know, maybe you want to make a staff that shoots fireballs, but maybe also just trying to make a car that you can drive or something could give you a lot of things, a lot of tidbits, skills from that process that you could also then take back into anything else that you make.
Also,
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Josh, Magnus, huge shout out to you folks for putting this together and coming on to demonstrate this and show this all off. We'll look forward to these snippets in the near future. And yeah, thank you all so much for joining us and your questions. We're sorry that we couldn't get to all of them today, but we really appreciate them. There's a lot of really great questions here, and we tried to get to as many of them as we could without derailing Magnus too much. So
Absolutely.
that is going to wrap up today's build along. Again, huge thank you to our wonderful guests for today, and a huge thank you to you all for watching as well. If any of you came partway through the stream and wanted to rewatch a section, no worries. We post all of our streams in video format that can be viewed on demand on our Twitch and YouTube channels. One last big thank you to our guests for joining us today, and we will catch everyone else in the next UEFN build along.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks. Bye.